What would you say if a cop tapped your car hood and asked you to step out during a routine traffic stop? Most people have no idea this simple tap is actually a psychological trick designed to make you comply with requests that go way beyond the original reason you were pulled over. That innocent tap just turned your simple speeding ticket into a potential search of your entire vehicle. Hit subscribe right now because what I'm about to reveal could save you from having your car torn apart on the side of the road. This is 100% legal knowledge that cops hope you never learn, and I'm going to give you the exact words that protect your rights. Here's what's coming in this video. The real reason cops tap your hood and how to respond. The magic phrase that stops vehicle searches before they start. The Supreme Court ruling that backs up everything I'm teaching you. And the massive mistake that turns a 5-minute traffic stop into an hour-long investigation. Let me show you exactly why this matters. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos of traffic stops, and the pattern is always the same. Cop makes the stop. Cop gets your documents. Then comes the hood tap and the request to step out. What happens next determines whether you drive away in 5 minutes or get arrested. The hood tap isn't random. It's a trained technique that puts you in a submissive mindset right before they escalate the stop. Here's the reality most drivers face. You get pulled over for speeding. The cop approaches your window, takes your license and registration, walks back to run your information, then comes back with a different energy, taps your hood, asks you to step out, says it's routine, says it's for safety, says everyone has to do it. All lies designed to get you out of your vehicle so they can search it. The problem is what most people do next. They comply immediately. They step out without asking questions. They stand where the cop tells them to stand. They answer every question the cop asks. They let the cop search their car because they think refusing looks suspicious. This is exactly how innocent people end up in handcuffs. Here's your first protection technique. When the cop taps your hood and asks you to step out, you need to establish whether this is a lawful order or a request. The law treats these completely differently. Orders must be followed. Requests can be declined. Most cops phrase this as a request, but make it sound like an order. Here's exactly what you say. Officer, am I being ordered to step out of my vehicle, or are you requesting that I step out? Word for word. Memorize that line. This forces the cop to clarify their authority. If it's just a request, you can decline. If it's an order, you comply, but make it clear you're not consenting to anything beyond stepping out. Watch what happens when you use this phrase. If the cop says it's just a request, you politely decline. You say, I prefer to remain in my vehicle unless I'm being ordered out. If the cop insists it's an order, you step out, but immediately establish boundaries. You say, I'm complying with your order, but I do not consent to any searches. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it creates a clear record. Either the cop had legal authority to order you out, or they didn't. If they didn't have authority and you complied anyway, that's voluntary compliance. If you establish it's just a request and decline, they can't use your refusal against you later. The legal backing comes from Pennsylvania versus Mims. The Supreme Court ruled that cops can order you out of your vehicle during a traffic stop for officer safety. But here's the key part they don't tell you. The order must be based on specific safety concerns, not fishing expeditions. The cop needs articulable reasons why you pose a threat while sitting in your car. Have you ever been asked to step out during a traffic stop? Drop a comment below and tell me how the cop phrased it. Most people realize afterward they were tricked into compliance. Let me show you exactly what happens when cops escalate beyond the traffic stop. They call this pretextual policing. They stop you for a minor violation, but their real goal is searching for drugs, guns, or outstanding warrants. The hood tap is part of their escalation playbook. It's designed to get you out of your protective space so they can control the interaction. Your second protection technique deals with the search question. Once you're out of your vehicle, cops will often ask to search your car. They'll say things like, you don't mind if I take a quick look, right? Or you don't have anything illegal in there, do you? These are consent searches and they're completely voluntary. Here's exactly what you say when asked about searching your car. Officer, I do not consent to any searches of my vehicle or my person. Those exact words. Don't explain why. Don't justify your refusal. Don't say you have nothing to hide. Just clearly state you don't consent, and then stay quiet. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings in Schneckloth versus Bustamante. Your refusal to consent cannot be used as evidence of guilt. Cops might tell you that refusing makes you look suspicious. That's a lie designed to pressure you into giving up your rights. Your refusal to consent is actually smart legal protection. Watch what happens when you clearly state no consent. The cop has 3 options. They can end the stop and let you go. They can get a warrant if they have probable cause, or they can call in drug dogs if they have reasonable suspicion. What they can't do is search your car without your consent, a warrant, or exigent circumstances. Former police officers have confirmed this works because it forces cops to follow proper procedures. If they search anyway after you've clearly refused consent, any evidence found gets thrown out in court. Your clear refusal to consent is the foundation of your Fourth Amendment protection. Here's the trick they don't want you knowing about drug dogs. If a cop threatens to call drug dogs, you have another protection phrase. You say, "Officer, are you detaining me or am I free to leave?" This forces them to justify extending the traffic stop beyond its original purpose. The Supreme Court ruled in Rodriguez versus United States that cops can't extend traffic stops to wait for drug dogs unless they have reasonable suspicion of other crimes. The traffic stop must be completed in a reasonable amount of time. If they're calling dogs just to fish for evidence, that's an illegal detention. Here's exactly what you say if they threaten drug dogs. "Officer, the original purpose of this stop appears to be complete. Am I being detained for additional investigation, or am I free to leave?" This puts them on notice that you understand your rights and the limits of their authority. Listen closely, because this is critical. Most cops will back down when you demonstrate legal knowledge. They're looking for easy targets who don't know their rights. When you use precise legal language and cite your constitutional protections, you're no longer an easy target. 90% of drivers don't know what I'm about to tell you next. Stay with me, because this is the most important part. The moment that determines whether you drive away free or end up arrested. Your third protection technique involves the detention versus consensual encounter distinction. After the cop gives you your ticket or warning, many drivers think the stop is over, but cops often try to start a consensual encounter to keep investigating. They'll ask questions like, "Where are you coming from?" Or, "Do you have any weapons in the car?" Here's exactly what you say when the cop starts asking additional questions after giving you your documents back. "Officer, am I free to leave?" If they say yes, you politely say, "Thank you, officer. Have a good day," and drive away. If they say no, you ask, "What crime am I suspected of committing?" This is 100% legal because you have the right to know why you're being detained. Cops can't hold you indefinitely without reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. Once the original purpose of the stop is complete, they need new justification to continue the detention. Legal experts agree. This is your strongest protection because it forces cops to articulate their reasoning. If they can't explain why you're being detained, the detention becomes unlawful. If they let you leave, you're no longer required to answer their questions or cooperate with their investigation. The constitutional framework comes from Terry versus Ohio and Florida versus Bostick. These cases established that you have the right to walk away from police encounters unless you're being lawfully detained. The key is determining whether you're detained or free to leave. Here's the reality of how this plays out in real traffic stops. Cop pulls you over for speeding, gives you your ticket, hands back your license and registration, then asks, "So where are you headed tonight?" Most drivers think they have to answer. They don't. The traffic stop is complete. Any additional questions are part of a consensual encounter that you can end by leaving. Watch what happens when you use the "am I free to leave" technique. If the cop says yes, you drive away immediately. Don't stick around for small talk. Don't try to be friendly. Just leave. If the cop says you're not free to leave, they now have to justify the continued detention. Let me show you exactly how this works with a real scenario walkthrough. You get pulled over for rolling through a stop sign. The cop approaches your window and asks for your documents. You provide them politely. The cop goes back to their car to run your information and write the ticket. Bad way. Most drivers sit there nervously and start overthinking. When the cop comes back, they're apologetic and talkative. The cop taps their hood and asks them to step out. They comply immediately without asking questions. The cop asks to search their car. They say yes because they think refusing looks guilty. Their car gets searched and they get arrested for prescription pills they forgot were in their center console. Good way. Smart drivers stay calm and prepare for the cop's return. When the cop taps their hood and asks them to step out, they say, "Officer, am I being ordered to step out of my vehicle, or are you requesting that I step out?" If it's an order, they comply, but immediately establish boundaries. They say, "I'm complying with your order, but I do not consent to any searches." If the cop asks to search their car, they clearly state, "Officer, I do not consent to any searches of my vehicle or my person." When the cop gives them their ticket back and starts asking additional questions, they ask, "Officer, am I free to leave?" Then they politely leave without getting searched or arrested. The difference is night and day. One driver goes home with a simple ticket. The other driver goes to jail because they didn't know their rights. The only difference was using the exact legal phrases I just taught you. Next week, I'm revealing what to say when cops claim they smell marijuana in your car. Subscribe right now because that video drops Tuesday, and it's the #1 trick cops use to justify searches. You'll learn the exact response that shuts down odor claims and protects your vehicle from being torn apart. Here's your quick recap of what you learned today. When cops tap your hood and ask you to step out, establish whether it's an order or a request with, "Officer, am I being ordered to step out of my vehicle, or are you requesting that I step out?" If they ask to search your car, clearly state, "Officer, I do not consent to any searches of my vehicle or my person." When they start asking additional questions after the stop is complete, ask, "Officer, am I free to leave?" And remember, Your refusal to consent cannot be used as evidence against you. Hit subscribe so you don't miss next Tuesday's video on marijuana odor claims. Smash that like button if this just taught you something that could save you from arrest. Drop a comment telling me which technique you think will be hardest to remember under pressure. Stay safe out there.